The Queen of Granada, by M. Riff. Chapter 188, The Reporters. As soon as Rita opened the door, a blinding burst of light hit her eyes. It came from a photographer who had just triggered his camera's flash. Next to him stood another guy with a tape recorder slung over his shoulder. He extended the microphone towards Rita and asked in an excited tone, "How did Rosen react to the news?" Right then, Rosen emerged from behind Rita. Another reporter shoved a microphone past Rita's face, aiming it at Rosen, and shouted in English, "Rosen, how are you feeling? Would you be interested in an exclusive interview?" Rosen was heading back to the fire when she replied in English, "I can't do it right now. Maybe come back in a couple of centuries." Rita glanced at the wreckage of the Land Rover on the sidewalk in front of the house. Aside from a couple of neighbors crossing themselves, a TV channel's camera crew was busy capturing it from every angle possible. Rosen's life story, as a medicine woman, had been analyzed and interpreted in several international magazines and television channels. Especially in England, where she was born and raised, she had become a real media sensation. So, it wasn't surprising that reporters and paparazzi swarmed the neighborhood in the following days. It was so overwhelming that neither Rita nor Rosen could leave the house. A few times Rita chose to find her way through the catacombs and appear in the chapel to continue to the city. One day they were sitting on the porch in rocking chairs, keeping each other company in silence, when someone knocked loudly on the door. The knocking was so strong as if they were trying to tear the door off its frame. Rosen, Rita, and Espanto, lying on Rita's lap, had grown used to this and chose to ignore it. After several persistent attempts, a reporter shouted in English through the door's cracks, "We won't give up. You have to grant us that interview." Rosen pulled her knees up in her chair, hugged them, and shouted in English, "Why don't you interview the Queen of Granada who lives further down the street? People say she left for a wedding party on the coast and abandoned her husband and 2 children." Rita didn't know what to do. Rosen continued, "All sorts of rumors are circulating about her. They say she cared more about her queenly status than her family and let her husband and kids down. They say her husband ran off with another woman and took the children with him. She went on, they say the little daughter had a remote-controlled car, and her father was skilled at fixing cars. Rumor has it that he incorporated the daughter's car into his Land Rover and, from a safe distance, steered it off the cliffs. Supposedly, it was the daughter's idea to stage their own disappearance to escape their mother's control. Everyone knew that the daughter aspired to take her mother's place. After a brief silence, she spoke up, they had a young girl living in the house. She was rumored to be a witch and tampered with the Land Rover's brakes, causing the fatal accident. She then turned her gaze to Rita and Espanto, nestled in Rita's lap, and said, "Nara, it's great to have you and your cat here."